Hi, everyone. Welcome to Thursday. I hope you're having a lovely, lovely day today. I'm going to apologize right now for any coughing that I may do. I am recovering from a sinus infection, so please bear with me. I have my tea here with me, so I'll take a couple of sips from that, but I might actually just mute myself if I need to. So just getting it up on my phone so I can see you all and see your comments. Let me know if you're here live. Say hi. As you know, I talk about this being quite interactive. This is the time where I come in and I'm here to help you all out with any kind of questions and comments that you've got. Challenges. Let me know what your current challenges are. Pop them in the comments so I can do some training on that for you next week or the week after. I've got a list of things that I can talk about, but I need to make sure that they are relevant to you and to what's happening right now. That's why you're in the group, right? I want to give you guys heaps of value. So let me know what's happening and what that value means for you and what you would like some help with. Yeah, and we'll go from there. So let's just bring this up, turn me down so I can see how you're going. So welcome to Thursday. It's been an interesting week. This week we did some training with the members around communication, and it was great. It was our core training module for the month. And basically what I do is, being part of the Reach ecosystem, I also get access to so much corporate leadership training. So what I've gone through and is actually I've taken a whole day's workshop that is normally facilitated by one of our international training companies. And I just pick out the bits that I think are relevant to our members, to what's happening for them at the moment, and things that they can actually take and put into action straight away. So we did that yesterday, and we actually, I chucked so much stuff in there that we had to go back and do a recap as well. So that was really, really great fun. But today we're going to talk about expectations. Say hi in the chat. Let me know you're here watching. Love to see your comments as we go along as well. So I like to interact. Even though this is online, it's great, it's convenient, we can reach everybody. I still love being able to talk and go back and forth. So please make sure you pop those comments in. I do have them here on my phone, so I'm just going to look down and check them out. So today we're going to talk about setting expectations. And the reason I'm bringing this one up is because this is by far one of the biggest issues that I've come across inside our workplaces. Hey, Carrie, nice to see you. Carrie, I've done it again. One day. So sorry, Carrie. Oh, it's probably the biggest cause for frustration for everybody involved. And the main reason is because, there's a few mistakes that we're going to make, so I'll get stuck into it. Hey, Lisa, great to have you here. So when I talk about setting expectations, what exactly do we mean? And these are generally the guidelines or the boundaries of what you will and won't accept. And you can use whatever word you want at the end of the day. We talk about setting expectations because it covers a whole range of things. But a lot, you might know it by boundaries or guidelines. They're commonly found in the code of conduct. So that's a real formal way of establishing the expectations. So when you join a company, you'll get told this is the code of conduct, and this is basically, what you will and won't do, what you're supposed to do. What we find though is that there is a whole stack of unwritten expectations, behavior, and culture. And as soon as you go in somewhere, this is what you do. And I used to call it playing the I'm new card. And I would milk that sometimes for 6 months as I tested these boundaries. And were there any even in play? Were people saying things and doing something else? And I do things and I'm like, I wonder what's going to happen if I do that. I'm just going to test it out. And then I'm going to play that, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm still new. I'm still learning this stuff. After about 6 months, people kind of like, Emma, come on. So that's as far as I've got playing the I'm new card. Let me know if you've played that card and how far you've got with it before someone calls you out on it. So we won't find these unwritten expectations, these behaviors. We don't find those in code of conduct. So what we need to do is to learn them. And the only way we learn them is either by asking someone else, but then we get their biased opinion, or by pushing against them and finding out the hard way where we've actually come up against. So it's important that you understand that these are all part of setting expectations. All of these things comes under our expectations. And it's also how we can communicate with your manager and the communication preferences and styles that you like to communicate with. And I remember getting a new manager once, and he said to me, Emma, tell me how you'd like to be managed. And I struggled with that question. I thought, I don't think I want to be managed. I don't think anybody wants to be managed. I want you to get to know me, and I want you to understand what I'm passionate about, what I want to do. I want you to understand that I'm a really high achiever, and I want you to back me when I come to you with ideas. I need to know about you as well. That's the kind of conversation I wanted to have. And so when we come down to tell me how you'd like to be managed, it's very formal. So what you need to do is really think about how you like to be communicated with, and then try and identify how your manager likes to be communicated with as well. So some of the biggest mistakes that I have seen people make is assumption. We just assume people know. And this comes right down to tasks and goes right up to how to do their job and job description and what are you even doing inside this company. Some people have really not even clarified what the role of the company is. They don't know what the company is. It's so big and they're so siloed down is that all they know is what they need to do. And when we don't have the bigger picture, we're unable to really get a grasp and use our own autonomy to make sure the end result we get there. All we do is when we don't have that bigger picture, we're focused on processes and procedures and systems. And that is always going to lead us into some issues. So the biggest mistake around setting expectations is that we just assume someone knows what I mean. We're not clear on the successful outcome, which is what I've just mentioned. We don't check for understanding. And this really comes to the assumption because we've said something, we just assume that someone's heard it. And what we find is, for example, I used the word value early on. What I think is valuable might be different to what you think is valuable. So when I ask you what kind of topics you want me to talk about, that's me asking you, what do you value? Because I know what I can talk about and I know what I valued and I know what I valued when I stepped into my very first management role. But it doesn't mean that that's the same as what you value. So we really need to check for this understanding and make sure that when we're setting expectations that we're very clear on what it means. And that means detailing it right down and pulling it out and saying the stuff that we don't want to say. And another one is that we don't involve others when we set them. So sometimes we quite often think that it's our role to make sure that, hey, Ali, nice to see you. We make sure that we have to know everything. And it's our job to go in and just go, this is what we're doing, because that's what a leader does. And it's not always the case. And I would encourage you to try and involve others into setting expectations, especially when we're looking at team expectations. What does that mean for the team? How are we supposed to communicate with each other? What permissions are we going to give each other as well? So let's make sure that we are involving others. Hey, Melinda, nice of you to join us. So then we're going to look at why are we setting them? What happens when we do? What happens when we don't? So people know what is and what isn't okay. And it removes all the excuses that you get when you find someone behaving in a certain way and you want to call them out on it or you want to have a conversation and all they're going to do is throw excuses at you. If you've taken the time to set the expectations around that behavior earlier, all the excuses are gone because they know you've spoken about it, you've set the expectation, you've communicated it, and yet here they are still doing what they're not supposed to. So the idea is that when we set them, it allows us to have those hard, tough conversations so much more easier. It allows us to hold people accountable because we've already had the conversation about what we will and won't do earlier in the piece. So this is so important when we want people to start taking responsibility for their own jobs, their own tasks, their own autonomy, their own initiative, and start thinking up some solutions. If they know the playing field that they're on and they know where they can and can't go, then it makes it so much easier for them to come up with their own ideas rather than constantly second guessing, oh, is that what they want? I'm not too sure. Can I do that? Am I allowed to do that? I don't know. And so therefore, when people don't, when they have this uncertainty, they don't do anything. So it's really important that we make sure that one of the reasons why we're setting them is because it helps us as managers to be able to hold other people accountable. Helps us drive home our message around what is and what isn't acceptable inside the team. And also when we're looking at personal boundaries, you know, if you have saying, look, I much prefer you all to email me. Oh, here you go. I'll give you an example. One of the people that I used to work with as a contractor, they loved email. Whereas for me, you know, email for them was critical. You send an email, they're on it all the time, they get straight back. Whereas email for me is you know what, when you get around to it, just get back to me. If it's urgent, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call you and I need an answer right then and there. And they work the other way around. So we really had to look at, okay, how is this going to work then? Because when I send an email, they're going to feel extra pressure to get back to me straight away. Whereas my version of an email was, yeah, you know what, tomorrow when you get to me. So when we're looking at those boundaries, it allowed us to have the conversation that said, hey, look, I just want you to know I'm going to send an email. For me, that's the way I work. I'm going to try and think about the way you work as well. How else can we do this rather than me just sending you emails all the time? Do you want me to just one email? Do you want me to write something else in there that says, you know, reply later at the start? And so it just opens up that conversation when we're setting these. So therefore, it removes all of that unnecessary angst around, they've sent me an email. Do I have to reply straight away? Because that's what they want, right? Because that's what I would want. It removes it all. And like I said, it's easy follow-up and it holds people accountable once you've set the expectation. And this comes down to work performance, how we talk, how we communicate, all of those things that we want to make sure everybody is clear on. Once we've set the expectation, then we can hold them accountable. It is not fair at all for you to call someone out on something that they didn't know was an expectation that you had set. That's probably the biggest thing that happens. And it is because we assume that they would know that they're not supposed to do that. That is probably 95% of all the frustration that I deal with when I'm working with teams. And others feel a sense of certainty and belonging when they know that these are the rules. Yep, they know exactly what's expected of them. They know how far they can push. They feel freer to be able to come up with solutions and innovation. Like I said, if you're on the playing field, then it doesn't matter. Yeah, because we know our playing field now. That's what expectations can do for you. So what do they look like in the workplace? So these are our personal expectations, so our values and our behaviors. And this comes down to me as a manager and as a leader. What is it that I want from you? What do I expect from you? And these conversations are things like, I'm not going to check in with you every single day to follow up. I need you to come to me if you have a problem. I will be here for you this time, or we're going to have our one-on-one meetings every week, unless it's urgent, save it for that meeting. Whatever these things are, these conversations are setting expectations. And if you don't do them, then you're going to leave yourself open for so much trouble later on. And it's actually a mark of respect for the other person that you're saying, hey, I'm here to help you. This is the playing field that we need to do it on, though. Also looking at creating a team charter. Now, you can do this with your team, and this is about how we expect each other to operate. When we're going to call each other out for behaviours that we've said that we're not going to do. So you're bringing into the values of what kind of team do we want to build here? And this is the conversation that you have together. What is it that you want other people to say about you? What is it that you want to be known for inside the team? What does this team want to be known for is a great one. So you create a team charter about doing this. And then once the team all has the input to it, you're able to hold each other accountable. So if you get someone who is constantly doing some behavior, if one of your points in there was about always going below the line and being negative all the time, we want to be able to have permission for everybody to call each other out and go, hey, you know what, that was really negative. What else can we do about this to keep it positive? So it allows you to have those conversations easier when you refer back to the team charter that everybody's set together. I also encourage you to go and have a look at your code of conduct. What exactly is there? That's a formal document, and most people go, yeah, tick, sign off, and it's done. But actually go back through and have a look, because those are some elements that you might want to draw on for yourself that you might not have remembered or realized that were already in your organizational code of conduct. And we use these when we're talking about performance. So ensure others know exactly what's expected of them in terms of their job performance, and never ever assume that they know exactly what it is. Never. And we use this when we're delegating. So if we're going to clearly communicate the desired expectation, we need to make sure that we're saying, this is what success looks like. What does it look like when it's done well? And this is the expectation that says, okay, this is a job I want you to do. This is what it means to have it done really well. I expect you to come to me if you get stuck. I expect you to check in with me at this point. I expect it to be completed at this point in time. You might need to go and talk to other people. So this is a conversation that you're having that gives the playing field for this person to go and run with this job and make it their own. You need to be able to set these boundaries, these guidelines, these expectations, so they know how far in and out they can move. How much of them can they put on it? Or are they just going to be a copy of you, which never helps anybody, because we all value our sense of us and our own autonomy in there. So that's all the slides I have. Let me know in the chat, what has come up for you from this? What are some of those mistakes that you might be making already along the way? And what ones of these things are you actually going to look at? Who has a team charter in the workplace? It might be documented fully for your entire organization. Let me stop that share, but it also might be just, I don't know, I guess just a kind of an unwritten thing that you've spoken about before. What does that look like for you? Let me know in the chat. Got my chat. I'm waiting for you to type in my chat. You know how I've spoken about being okay with silence? And as a coach, it's something that you do really well. That's me now. I'm here. If you're watching the recording, let me know in here as well. What is it? What are some of the mistakes? Have you found yourself assuming and you didn't realize what that was? Thanks, Lisa. Sometimes we can start really strong, but continually drop our standards and we're not sure why. Yeah, most of the time we're on our own, or we find that other cultural workplace culture stuff starts to seep in, especially if we're trying to be these change agents and come in and go, no, that's not the way it has always been done. Let's try something else. Let's do something else here. Then, yeah, sometimes it's really tough to keep it going. And I remember once I went and saw someone in a different department. They're in a marketing department, and I'll never forget, I went to them and I was so frustrated, and I had said, look, this is what I'm trying to achieve here, but it seems everybody keeps wanting me just to lower my standards. They're just like, Emma, that's not realistic. Lower your standard. It's not going to happen. You need to really understand the playing field that you're on here. And I had this intense desire to prove them wrong, to also say, no, why should we lower our standards? Why can't we be raising them? Isn't that what we need to be doing? And I remember him saying, he turned around and he looked at me and he said, don't you ever lower your standards? There's enough people in here doing that already. I said, I know, right? So yeah, it can be really tough, especially to keep going, Lisa. So it's a matter of remembering the vision, the purpose, the why. What is it that you want to keep achieving? And so you just keep going with that. Keep the message like a, broken record sometimes. Lisa, like you said to me that in here, when I show up and I do these lives, whether there's only one or two people here watching, it's what I'm doing. It's what I believe in, helping create better workplaces, right? I can't do this on my own. I need you all to help me. You're all out in the workplaces. I need you guys to take on some of this stuff, to implement it, to come back and talk to us about the changes that you're seeing and what's happening, because I'm just one person. And yep, I can go to one organization and I can focus and help them change. But ultimately, if I'm spending that time doing that, I'm going to run out of time. So yeah, it really is about that consistency, that persistency, and making sure that, yeah, you don't let your standards drop. Carrie, we had a discussion in a staff meeting around a deadline. I've now updated the procedures to make it clear that this is expected. Beautiful. Just simple things like that. Write the expectation into a procedure. So anybody else coming in can look at the checklist, and on the bottom of the checklist, it might say, has the deadline been communicated? Has the end result been communicated? Melinda says, I can see myself using some of those points in reverse, managing up. Yep, particularly around the expectations. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that would be really handy for you, Melinda, knowing the conversation that we've had before around always being needed, always, kind of this on call all the time. We're going to need to set some expectations and some boundaries around that. But then, yeah, understanding that your manager needs to see that too, and this is what you're doing to address it. Lisa, yep, I'm finding we have one participant who's constantly not turning up for the meetings. There's always one. Always one. Oh, I love it. All right. Thank you all for participating and for writing in the comments. I appreciate it. I love the fact that I just don't sit here and talk to myself all the time, because I do that a lot. So it's great to have you all here. And let me know again, what kind of training is it that you want to see? What are some of the challenges that you're having right now that we can address? And what is it that you want to make this group more valuable for you? Every Thursday, I'll be here 1 o'clock for 20 minutes, or if you're here chatting, I'll just keep talking. So make sure you let me know. For those of you watching the recording, thank you for watching the recording. Let me know what you got out of this today. What was the biggest takeaway point and what you're going to do about it. Everybody let me know in the chat, what is the one thing you're going to do taking away from this? Because, I'm a big believer in not just taking in information for information's sake. We just then get a whole heap of emotional and intellectual burnout when we just listen and we read new things. And I attended a business workshop on Tuesday. It was an all-day thing online, and I ummed and ahed about going to it because of the extra information I was going to get. And I looked at, what can I implement? Where am I at? What is the business doing? Where are we going? Is it right for me to actually go and take on more knowledge, knowing that I might not be able to implement it all? So it's a mindset thing as well. Thank you, Lisa. I appreciate you trying to type fast. Yeah, it is. And even that reinforcement is perfect, because we need to make sure that we're hearing it and we're doing it. We're hearing, doing. And then that's how we learn. And I've spoken, you've probably all heard me before. I'll talk about how swimming and riding a bike. You can read all you want. You can watch all the movies, the videos, the YouTube clips. You can go and watch other people do it. You can talk to other people about how to do it. But it's not until you get on that bike or you jump in that water that you're actually going to learn how to ride a bike or how to swim. Chances are you're going to start sinking or you'll fall off your bike. Those are your teaching, right? That's when you go, oh, okay, I won't do that again. Let's go back and do this. It's exactly the same with anything you learn. And that is my underlying philosophy of giving you these, 20-minute bites of information. Take one thing from it, go and implement it over the next month, and then make sure you come back and let us know how it goes. So thank you for being here and for contributing. I really appreciate it. Have an amazing rest of the week and a wonderful weekend. And I'll see you all again next week. Same time, same place. Well, I'll be in the same place. I don't know about you. I'll see you then, guys. Bye.